Factor f of x equals 4x cubed plus negative 5 minus 4i times x squared plus the quantity negative 7 minus 3i x plus 2 plus I into linear factors if 2 plus I is a 0 of f of x. Okay, so here is our problem. So the first thing we need to identify is what is k. Well, we know that k is equal to 2 plus I. And what that tells us is the following. We know that x minus whatever k is a factor of this polynomial. So that tells us that x minus 2 plus I, so x minus the quantity 2 plus I, is a factor of this polynomial. So now what we need to do is we're going to have to now determine what is the other factor of this polynomial, knowing that 2 plus I is a 0 of this function. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look at the coefficients of each term. So the first coefficient is 4. Okay, the next coefficient is negative 5 minus 4i. Okay, and then the next coefficient is negative 7 minus 3i. And then the last coefficient is 2 plus I. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring down the 4. Okay, and so we need to multiply 4 times 2 plus I. So what is 4 times 2 plus I? So we're going to do that as over here. So 4 times 2 plus I, we're going to distribute the 4 to both of those terms, and that gives us 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 4 times I, which is 8, plus 4i. So we have 8 plus 4i. Okay, so what happens here? We add negative 5 with 8, and that gives us positive 3, and this gives us 0. Okay, now we're going to take 3, and then we're going to multiply it by 2 plus I. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times I is plus 3i. So now we get 6 plus 3i. So negative 7 plus 6 is negative 1, and then this plus 3i, or negative 3i plus 3i gives us 0. Okay, now we're going to take negative 1, and then we're going to multiply that by 2 plus I. So let's go ahead and do that. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, and negative 1 times I is negative I. So we get negative 2 minus I, and you can see here that when we add those together, we get a remainder of 0. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us now this is 4x cubed, so this becomes 4x squared, and then this is plus 3x minus 1. So far we have the following. We know that we have x minus 2 plus I, and then times the factor of 4x squared plus 3x minus 1. Okay, so now we need to determine whether we can factor 4x squared plus 3x minus 1. So we're going to try the AC method. Now the AC method tells us that we need to take 4 and multiply that by negative 1, which gives us negative 4. So that tells us we have negative 4 and 3 as our value of b. So what two numbers can we multiply that when we multiply them together, it's going to give us negative 4, then when we add them together, it's going to give us positive 3. So we get negative 1 and positive 4. So let's check that out. Negative 1 times positive 4 gives us negative 4. Negative 1 plus 4 gives us positive 3. So that works. So now we're going to rewrite the first term. So we have 4x squared minus 1x, and that's plus 4x, and then that's minus 1. And now we're going to factor by grouping. So we're grouping the first two terms and the last two terms. So what can we factor out of the first two terms? We can factor out an x, and then what's left over is 4x minus 1. And over here we should also get 4x minus 1. So what do we need to multiply by 4x to get 4x? Well, that is plus 1. So therefore, when we factor this, we get 4x minus 1. 4x minus 1 times x plus 1. So now when we factor this, this is what we get. So I put brackets over here just so that we don't confuse it with the parentheses. So we have x minus parentheses 2 plus I. And then we know it's going to be multiplied by 4x minus 1 times x plus 1. Okay, and so this is in completely factored form. So let's go ahead and check this and make sure. Okay, so we have the following. We have bracket. We have x minus parentheses 2 plus I. Bracket, or you can use parentheses. Okay, and then we end up getting 4x minus 1 times x plus 1. So this is times 4x plus 1 times x plus 1. Is that correct? 4x minus 1 there. So 4x minus 1 times x plus 1. And let's check our answer. And there is our result. Now, I want to come back and take a look at this. Okay, now this can also be written in the other form. This can be written in this form. If we wanted to finish this problem, it would be correct. If we distributed this minus sign, and then we can just say that this now becomes x minus 2i, or excuse me, minus 2 minus I times 4x minus 1 times x plus 1. Okay, this is the same result. Okay, so we can either or put that in there that way. But again, it can be put in either case.